welcome to the C&J channel. So this time I went to El Ateneo Gran Splendid, which is in the Recoleta neighborhood of Buenos Aires, and this is one of my favorite places in the entire city. So gorgeous, and the entire area it's in is really beautiful. I used to live not too far from there, right on Plaza Vicente Lopez, when I first arrived in the city, and I remember waking up every morning, going to my window and thinking, oh my god, I live here now. And the singer right in front of the bookstore, I've been hearing him time and again over the years. I think I first heard him when I first moved here, and so it was a really nice surprise to see him the last time because I had totally forgotten about him.
Vivo per lei perché mi fa vibrare forte l'anima. Vivo per lei a nome un peso. Vivo per lei anch'io non sa che tu non essere geloso. L'odio di tutti quelli che hanno bisogno sempre a te.
I can't think of any other bookstore that I've ever been to where I get this feeling of awe every time I step into it. I mean, not for nothing, this place was named the most beautiful bookstore in the world back in 2019 by National Geographic. And I like to linger in the front a bit, take it all in, and then right when you're ready, you step towards the front, towards the main event, and see this. The ceiling frescoes were painted by the Italian artist Nazareno Orlandi. He also painted a number of theaters and churches all around the city and around the country as well. And this building opened as a theater in 1919 and had a seating capacity of 1,050 people. And tango performers like Carlos Gardel and Ignacio Corsini performed here. And then sometime in the later 20s, this place was converted into a movie theater, and it was the first place in Argentina to show sound films. Then in 2000, this place was converted into a bookstore, and it reopened its doors in 2001. And according to Wikipedia, this place gets over 1 million visitors every year, and it sells hundreds of thousands of books, which I can definitely believe considering how long the line was for the cash register. Every time I go into this bookstore, I always wonder who performed on that stage, who painted that ceiling fresco, who sculpted those caryatids in the front. You know, you just wonder what happened in here when it was a theater, what performances they had. Did they perform plays or was it just music? And I feel like this place holds such positive emotion, and you just feel it every time you walk in there. I mean, being in there is like no other bookstore I can think of. Like, that's why I went to this little area again and again, because of that feeling you get when this auditorium is slowly revealed to you. You know, it's just amazing. Like, if I worked around that area and I were having a bad day, I would simply go to this bookstore and stand right here. You know, because you can't help but feel amazed when you're right there. It's always fun to look through the gift sections of bookstores, and I did not know that they sell art supplies in this one, so I was pleasantly surprised to see the prices. They're basically the same as in what you'd expect to pay in a libreria, so I was so tempted by that big set of markers right there, the one in the black case. I've always loved markers. They're so fun to play with. So I was there to meet a friend, and when she got there, we went to Bonafide for a merienda instead of the cafe inside the bookstore. Because from what I remember, the coffee and pastries were way overpriced and not that good. On the other hand, Bonafide is always excellent and the prices are amazing. So after that, she and I went to this place called Monoblock to see the new designs. They always have really interesting packaging designs and prints there. I've never gotten anything, but it's always fun to look at. And both these places, of course, are a short hop away from the bookstore on Cachao and Santa Fe. And by the time we were ready to go back to the bookstore, it was already nightfall. So I hope the front of the building isn't too hard to make out in the video, but the caryatids I mentioned earlier, those were sculpted by another Italian artist named Troiano Troiani. And you can't look through those front windows, unfortunately. I've always wondered, are those offices or apartments or what? But I've never been able to find a way to look through those front windows. So she and I just hung out there for another hour or so. She was looking for a book to buy, but I was just there to hang out and take videos. And I loved this Harry Potter display. I don't think, of course, there's a new Harry Potter book coming out, but I think that's for a new edition that's now available here. But yeah, I thought that was really fun. That wasn't there the last time I was there. I would so love to buy any of these books, especially that one. I love the illustrated versions. I had the whole set back in the States, but of course I left them there. And I love all the detail in this building. The first time I was here was back in 2011 when I had just come to Buenos Aires as a tourist, and I had seen in my guidebook that this was one of the things every tourist had to do. So I went there on a really hot March day, and I had a coffee in this cafe right there because I wanted to sketch. And you can see in the menu, the prices are pretty bad, basically tourist prices. But these pastries right there, those look actually pretty good. And those alfajores are Havana alfajores, which are, I think, the best you can find in this city. I don't know how much they cost in the Havana cafes, but here they were like 1,200 pesos just for one, which I think is ridiculous, even if it is the best you can find. So a little about the man who built this place. His name was Max Glucksmann. He had emigrated during his teens from a place called Chernivtsi, which was then part of the Austrian Empire. And he started out as a photo assistant and worked his way up to becoming one of the leading pioneers of Argentina's film and music industry, especially in tango music. And what he would do was he would seek out the best musicians and songwriters and sign them onto long-term contracts. That way he would get the rights to some of the biggest hits of that day, but he would also pay out royalties to his artists, apparently being the first one to ever do so here in Argentina. And his theater, then called Teatro Gran Splendid, opened its doors in 1919. And that ceiling fresco, the one painted by Nazareno Orlandi, was to celebrate the end of World War I. And the first sound movie to ever show here was the film La Divina Dama, or The Divine Lady, in 1929. And the last film to ever show here before closing to become a bookstore was the film American Beauty. And when this place turned back into a theater in the 1970s, for a brief time, the last performance here was given by the famous Argentinian actress Mirtha Legrand. Thank you so much for watching this video and hope to see you next time. Ciao!